minutes. From an employee's perspective, it takes what it takes, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if we're the ones divvying out the money, we're being tight, you know, and saying, well, it should only be this much, you know, but we should give people the freedom to be able to do it. I know that I'll take longer than you, Nori, at anything that I do. Quite possibly, right? Because I don't have the technical, I'll learn it and I'll do it and I'll get it figured out eventually. But, you know, the first time it will take me a little bit longer. So.
And I think the experiment also set it high enough that Newman was motivated to do an excellent job at it. And he really did. He went through and he researched everything that happened for Community Hub operations and laid it out and went back through the meetings and everything. And it was really cool to see the process there.
Did you enjoy it, what you did, Newman?
I did. Yes, making the monthly report and going through the challenge and seeing exactly what the proposal was, putting together, going through the form, using the D-Work bounty system. Yeah, and I was very grateful that Yoram and Nori were there to sort of walk me through. I got to shadow Nori as he did one, and then they watched me do the first bits of the second one. Yeah. But I do want to give
scale.
I want to give for the folks that are joining us, just doing the today is June 24th, and we are here at the C4C
PBL.
Yes, yes. And this is part of our tokenomics and figuring out bounties and little fishes and Gimbal tokens, etc. We've been having a lively and lively and safe collaboration, the greatest human potential thing. And what we've talked about so far is working on our mirror board accounting, because we've got kind of a snafu there, and then we started. And
Nori's already just jumped in and done it.
We've got an action board. We've got a new pro mirror board, so we can all celebrate clapping. Yay!
Do you have it ready, Nori, already or not? Or did we interrupt?
Yep.
I stopped working on it to have a conversation, but it's almost there now.
Almost there. So the mirror board. Well, go ahead, Andre.
I removed the legal thing.
Okay, because we had, okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
there is a way to do it, but then we started talking about closing reports and
bounties,
and we had a discussion between what exactly is a task bounty, a bounty task versus a staff or a role task, etc. And then one important point that I could highlight from our earlier conversation, and I'm just bringing you up to speed, dear YouTube listener or other community member that is catching up with what's going on here on our Friday meetings, making space for others to fill leadership roles. It's an onboarding procedure. And I believe one of our proposals is onboarding. And this is a new way of onboarding, because you give people responsibility, allow them to build up reputation and take on leadership roles. So that brings you, dear listener, dear recorded listener, up to speed with what's been going on. Now that Nori has just dropped into the chat. We can log into Miro as Cardano4Climate at Gmail using the Gmail login. Oh, log in with Gmail feature and create all the boards we desire. How can we, are the boards now that are existing, so I don't have to copy the one that I made for the Ethiopia with Tigani and Tyler, Yem Valley Regenerative Ag Project, carbon sequestration?
You'll have to copy it over. I'm not sure how that's done. You may have to just open the board, select all, Control C, go to the new board and paste it in.
Okay.
Oh, you think it's going to work? Because sometimes it doesn't copy stuff, doesn't it? Does it?
I've done it for my boards and it seems to work as long as your permissions are completely open.
Okay. So
Okay.
try it out there, Newman. We're almost to the point where I can more than view only on that board.
Good.
Nice, nice.
And it's
Yeah.
$192 a year. So we
Oh,
have
not bad.
it for another 1 year, and then it'll renew again. So I'll submit that invoice.
Nori, and it solved my issue. Can I, do you know, this is off recording, but can I take out my
Credit
CC
card?
from there? Or?
When I logged in with Cardano4Climate, it was a brand new account. So I'm not sure where your credit card is tied to.
Okay.
Maybe somebody put out a bounty.
No,
Somebody
but
will
you know
find
what,
out where
because-
your credit card is.
No, I know mine is in the, actually in the Google Drive one, right? So it's embedded inside Google.
Oh, Google's separate from Miro. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm for life.
You did say it was a long-term project, so
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
you're here forever.
Yeah.
So
So 200 years.
200 years, yes. All right, Newman, you're on mute.
Yep, for life. 200 years. We got those 200. Hey, I wonder if we could, if we have the brain trust here, could we go through the DWork
Bounties?
bounties and just sort of just to get that on the recording, because I do think we talked about this, like promoting it and getting it sort of known, and that's what we're going to use, and then we can yeah. And I think that might be the thing.
Maybe we can start every meeting with, this is the community bounty, whoever wants, like that will be kind of part of the beginning of every meeting. Hello, this is Cardano4Climate,
On the weekly meetings, you mean?
Yeah,
Fabulous.
yeah. And this is the bounty, and whoever wants to jump in,
Or we can put it in as part of our C4C GTPBL experiment chunk. And then this is what's coming out of it is the bounties that would kind of feel, rather than saying, hey guys, we're going to pay you to do all this stuff right up front. Let's keep that kind of tucked in the meeting, in the experiment.
Or we can start by everyone coming in and registering their part of the meeting, right? And then they get the first 50 tokens, right? The Gimbals, and then they can see, look, there's other bounties, and check them out.
This is what we can do during that portion of the meetup.
Yeah.
Is walk new people through the bounties, where to find them, how to sign up for them, how to collect for attending to this particular meeting. And then if there's more questions, we can do a specific breakout room for that one.
Perfect.
Would that work? Okay, awesome.
And then maybe at this meeting, we start to discuss what, like, to put bounties up, or there's a dual process. There's taking bounties, but we need a process for creating them. And I've been kind of just doing a cowboy. I think there should be bounties doing it, but I think we should have some kind of a core team process around that, so that we're at least aligned around what we want to do. I can show you some stuff that I've been looking at.
And this is, by the way, I just stopped you for a second, Ori, and this is Newman, maybe for you. It's part of the kind of the standard, community standard. This process will be anyway part of the community standard project that we need to do.
Yeah, and that was one of the key things we put into our monthly update for that project.
Yeah, completely.
Maybe if it's the first time you do these, or when you create these bounties, we could have examples of how to do the bounty to show the community, maybe.
Is there a way to suggest bounties though, other than doing it in DWork? Like, whether it's
in DWork, there is a mechanism for suggesting bounties, but outside of DWork,
then an admin has to go in and approve that and then work through the bounty and just do it.
It's a voting mechanism, and then people in the community can go yes, and it floats to the top. It's kind of there's a suggestions section where people can suggest anything, but we could use it to suggest bounties. Or
well, could start it, because then somebody might be doing something in the community that we don't know about, and they want to put it in as a bounty, and then it becomes something that is worthy of a bounty, right? If the community start recognizing it.
Yeah, let me show you something I did that kind of relates to that. Let me go to the Cardano4Climate. So this is the Cardano4Climate D-Work board. I'm sorry for the speed of my computer.
Oh,
I'm going to close.
you guys should have been here 10 years ago. Can you imagine us being here 10 years ago, how slow this would be?
Yeah.
So we're good.
So
We're good.
when you go into the space, you have the high level dashboard. It shows all the open tasks. And then there are two general spaces right now. One is spaces for C4C coordination. That's kind of the generic space. There's fund 8 proposals tracking all 4 of these. If we do fund 9, there'll probably be a fund 9 area. And then the intent is to close these out as we move along. And then for community collaboration standards, maybe. I put in a task here, research which Discord bots and recommend which would be helpful for C4C, because we were talking about that at one meeting. And then I put in one here, create a Google form that collects community member wallets, because we need to do that if the Treasury guys are going to pay out the Gimbals and ADA from all this. And
So
I figured,
what's that bounty worth? I'm pretty good at Google Forms.
yeah, so definitely check it out. If you click on it, I don't know if I put a bounty. Oh, I put 100 ADA plus 100 Gimbals, assuming it would take 2 hours, because you need to talk to Andre and Miro and go back and forth and discuss with them what data they need to fill out their metadata for anybody who's submitting bounties, because I don't know. So maybe, it's not just creating a form.
Nah, maybe Miro and Andre need to create that. I'm just pulling your leg. Because
there is a cool one actually to do that I thought about you, Melanie, is on the onboarding one actually. I mean, there need to be a survey on the onboarding one for new people, how they came here, how they onboarded. And that's something that is quite interesting actually.
There is there are forms that I've done before that have some of those questions already.
This is why
But back to this one, Miro and Andre, I think it's probably one that you should pick up. Hey, do the form for that. Yeah.
And then the other experiment that I tried was in the C4C Coordination, which doesn't really have a fund. I dropped in the work I did yesterday as an experiment to say, manage submission of June IOG reports via project bounties, just to say I created these bounties and did some work, and it took me about 2 hours to coordinate that with working with Newman and all that. And I tagged it as an action, little fish style. So there's no bounty attached, it's just an action. So I put it in there so that the core team can look at it and say, this is an action that we want to little fish style retroactively pay for. And then you can incentivize that. So I think this is how we can do little fish at the same time. So this is getting back to what you're saying, Melanie. If somebody in the community wants to do something, they can do it and add a task here and say, I've done it, tag it as action. And then we decide the value of that.
Okay, so for example, the form to collect the proposals. Been working on that for a long time and worked on it again yesterday. I was 5 hours from beginning to the end of talking with Newman, other stuff, getting that form done, got a little bit of feedback from Yoram now, changed a few things, and I think it's ready. So for me to put that one in there, and then I would put it in as an action, and then the community would decide how do I include my nagging to remind people over and over and over again to put their proposal in there.
Yeah, that's the stuff we need to figure out. But you can do a plus, hit the plus sign, create a new thing, and then add a tag that just says action, and then the tags go here. So you can just pick the right thing, and then we can experiment and say, what do we think? And I can definitely walk through that also in our D-Work kind of demonstration next week to the community. And then people can start putting actions in, and maybe we start with
Can we
Gimbals.
do that on Wednesday? in the D-work experiment part, that you walk me through putting in that form,
Yeah.
the work that I did.
Yeah.
And then it does two things. It puts the form in front of people to say, put your proposal in here. We've got 94 more to go, 93 more to go. But it also shows that I've been doing work, and this is how we are
You
going to
know
work.
what?
Okay.
I think again, this is wonderful, and I just said it mine as well. I know you don't see it there, but it's quite complicated. I mean, also, I mean, it's a lot of procedures, at least for me. I mean, even for me, okay,
I'm feeling it too. I'm
I
feeling
mean,
it too. It's one
and I'm
more
sorry
task.
it's like okay, I finished already the report, so I need to go apply to a bounty, do the report, then communicate that I did the report. Maybe this one take for you 2 minutes, Nori, but for me this take 25 minutes.
So
Okay,
Yoram, I
hour.
think you are in a different position though. Like this is where the UBI comes in, and we know that you are not a fly by night. You're here for 200 years. We know that in general you're putting in how many hours you're putting in during the day, and that should go without question. Hopefully that happens with me too. I don't, I was thinking about this form and I thought, oh my God, I don't want to do the bounty because it's one more record keeping thing that I don't like doing. But as an example, in this case, I will do it to show other people to do it. But then in the future, I would hope that, okay, I can just show up, do what I do, and not have to account or record keep.
And I will add to that something. Even now, if you think about the form that you did, so you did a form, you spent a few good hours to do the form, then you got feedback for the form, right? So now you need to adjust the form, and it will be evolving.
It's an ongoing
task, right?
thing, so
It's an ongoing.
It's not a cut and dry. I started that in Fund 6, probably even Fund 7, and it's been an evolving.
Yeah.
So
And
this is
These are all
again,
really important experiments for little fish. Like we don't know how granular these actions could be. It could be later we go, it's way too much overhead to account for all the little things I did. So you can say maybe the action is Nori participated core team in April, and give a quick summary of what the highlights. And then the core team can say, yes, these 5 actions, we have $6,000 this month. We're going to divvy it up like this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the UBI. But I think it is important to have some kind of record, especially for paying out of the funded proposals, to report back to the community what happened. And DWork is a really transparent way to do it. So if there are UBI things happening, maybe we have one action per month per UBI kind of person on the core team that we push through, and then it's really transparent, and then it's a report.
And as you did in the graph, it might be a combination of 3 different systems, right? So you do, because I see this brilliant, for example, to do the presence in every meetup, right? I mean, this is brilliant, right? And it's a very simple, people come, you're already contributing, boom, you're part of that, right? Then there is actions, kind of responsibilities, responsibility on this form, right? Which is ongoing responsibility of onboarding form, right? And that's a UBI type of, and then there is actually the form took me 3 times more because of 1, 2, 3, and then come the little fish, right? Model of actually paying after, right? So they're all connected somehow, as you did in your graph, Nori. I mean, last week or 2 weeks ago. Anyway.
Yeah, and bounties can also be used as a training mechanism to get more people knowledgeable about how to do admin stuff. So like Newman now knows how to submit an IOG report, where yesterday he woke up not knowing how to do that or what was involved. So
and he also knows how to link a form to an Excel sheet, right? So there's all these things. I was thinking about that form though. When I first started, Emmanuel from WADA jumped in and helped me create the form. Miriam from Raz Financial there, she's the one that helped me connect it to an existing spreadsheet, and it's sort of like there's these tiny little pieces that are all part of this form. that's kind of a product, but it's a process as well. So yeah, but there are pieces, you know, like if we were set up for the bounties or rewards, Miriam would have gotten recognition for that more than just her name on one of the forums. Emmanuel would have gotten a thank you as well. So yeah,
Reading
it's
this
coming.
book, which we're going to discuss tomorrow at Saturday, just to kind of emphasize that, it talks about teal organizations as doing away with job titles. Like you aren't an X.
Admin. You aren't admin.
You aren't pigeonholed. What happens is there's a bunch of roles that emerge, and a role could be IOG report submitter, and somebody takes that role. And what that does is a role is just a commitment to the group that you're going to do it. And we could experiment with roles as what we pay rather than tasks, because a role does a bunch of things and shepherds it and takes care of it. But it's like a commitment for that, whatever time period. It could be a monthly cadence, it could be a quarterly cadence, it could be an annual one. But there's probably roles to say, okay, I will be the next event coordinator. And that's a role with a certain number of responsibilities that you take on. And then we pay for that or incentivize for that.
That it's good for someone that fits into a role. Because I remember this came up in the original GTPBL. We started looking at roles. And Felix actually had written what an admin does. And it's like, oh my God, I don't do those. I hate doing that part. I hate doing, this is my idea of what an admin is, you know, and I do these. And then it became, we started working on tasks, you know, individual tasks. So, and then I also researched where did the title role come from? And that's from way back when Shakespeare, when they started doing actors, and somebody determined, somebody centralized, determined what the role looked like, and a person played it. So that's again coming top down.
That's the magic of what we're doing here. We get to define and change roles and say, this doesn't
exactly
really,
as long as there's
this.
that flexibility, you know, that says that admin, these are the broad tasks that you can do. The other ones that you don't necessarily cover, they could be shifted to bounties and someone else could fill in those holes. But these, it could be that these particular tasks are admin-like roles.
Yeah,
a part of the admin role.
And the role could be events coordination team, and then 2 or 3 people come together, and somebody's going to like some of it, others will like others, and then the team decides how to divvy up the role incentives.
And maybe that's what a role is it's not just one person. It's almost always a team, unless you're a super person, right? Yeah.
Like Newman.
Like you?
Like Newman.
Oh, I was gonna, yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what came to mind too, but I thought he might start getting a fat head. Yeah, see, there it's already fat. Close.
Spider-Man, Superman, Newman, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So D work.
You're kind of muted, Newman, if you're speaking.
Ah, there we go. Sorry. I do want to say thank you for the kudos and the teasing and such. That's great. I love it. But it is something that, so here's my idea to share, is that working with as a solo person, not having a team, the ability to collaborate, because I think that's sort of what's going on in a general sense, is that we're all trying to do all of these roles, and it's very difficult for us to collaborate, especially if you're of a teal mindset, or you kind of bristle at a role. You're like, I'm not an actor on a stage, I'm a whole and sentient being here on the planet trying to do something meaningful and have meaningful participation. So just to put that as a groundwork and foundation. So I think in the discussion, we did get down to a real core. I was not really aware of that etymology of the word role and actor on the stage role. So that definitely does put a sharp point on it. And I think, yeah, we can figure it out. Yeah, I think we can figure it out. That's great.
Well, anything, if we're going towards decentralized, so much of what we do is centralized. We're determining things, you know, we're determining what the value of the bounty is, you know, how much gets divvied out. This is very centralized and it's impossible to get away from it. But if we work towards that flexibility, you know, that we recognize that this has been determined by a centralized, but we have the freedom from the ground up to change it.
Right. Right.
Andre, aka Miro, has something to say.
But if you look at the roles, you have like a list of commitments. So maybe instead of creating roles, you just create commitments, and then people can choose commitments. So it's next to tasks.
That would it would make sense in a way, wouldn't it?
I love that. I love that as a, you know, just the words that we use have power and meaning. Changing, I would feel much better about I'm committing to
Event planning.
to doing the event planning. And then it also has that time commitment. I commit for this next cadence or this next cycle. That's one of the things that's a parameter of our organization, our game, because we are in these fun cycles, which, you know, gives its own, you know, things. It's like, oh, do we have an event planning after the next 2 events? Do we have a budget? Do we have, you know, support? Those things.
It feels different though to say I'm the event planner, I'm in the role of event planner, versus I am committed to planning the event. This is an action. You just flipped it completely for me. Thank you, Andre.
Andre, yeah.
Yeah. So commitment, it does, because that comes from the ground up, doesn't it?
It's verb based rather than noun based.
Mm-hmm. I
It's
like
a
it.
doing, not a being.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Did we just figure it all out? Did we just figure everything out?
It's an action too, but it's that core thing of why we end up doing what we do for nothing or continuing to show up for this, is because we are committed in our heart. And when you have that commitment, whether it's from us or from the community, that changes the game. Doesn't it? Or am I?
Yeah. Like if we go completely decentralized, maybe once a month, everybody submits an action saying, I was here. These are the things I did. And then as a community, we decide how to split the pie based on all of that. Because every month we have a monthly budget right now.
There will be the shy people that won't say what they do too. Like for myself, it's really hard to say, yeah, I did this and prove that I did this and that and that. So there's that end of it too. And I don't know where it comes from, but this.
I think it's very complex also to say what you did. I mean, we need to register what you did, and it's again.
I'd rather be doing it than recording it. That's the thing, and it's like, how do you account for?
Let me jump in. Let me jump in for just a second about like the recording, and because I hear Yoram and Melanie saying, and I feel it too, the sort of the weight of like, oh, I did the thing, and now I've got to go back and record the thing and do the keeping, the data record keeping. What changed for me, because I was definitely in that boat. But what changed for me is that the reason I was recording it was to be accountable to the wider community, and it's sort of like our garden model. Melanie, we were talking about this before the recording. It's just like, no, I'm nurturing this plant, and it's sort of like you keep the energy, the water when you're watering the plant with your fertilizer, instead of just letting the water run off. You're like, oh yeah, it's got to stay there. And that's when I do a little summary at the end of the day or at the end of the month, or do some type of record keeping so that I can show, because I'm quiet and shy and I don't want to tell people how much I need, but I can say, oh yeah, this is, anyway, when record keeping has a purpose or in a wider sense,
Mhm.
and we actually use it, like, you know, the reason why we timestamp videos and actually people do it, you know, like it's time. So now just to say it succinctly, record keeping made sense to me when I saw its purpose and it had a value, like it was still, you know, still the thing.
As long as it's really super simple too, you know,
Exactly.
that's the other thing. And it's set, you know, again, it's a process that you have to set up, a routine that you have to start doing.
Yeah.
And some people love to do it more than others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the frictionless sort of thing, you know, to get over the thing. But the motivation, yeah, it's like motivation and friction, you know, force and friction. It's a physics type of problem.
It also turn it on its head and say, rather than have one person report on what they did, have the community have a communal, like, these are the gifts I received from this person this month. They showed up, they helped me with this form, they instructed me, and then it turns us into a mode where we're actually appreciating each other and paying attention to what people do, because it's part of our culture, and that's our collective record keeping. And then the only things that we need to produce from ourselves are those things that nobody saw us do. Like, I stayed up till 2 a.m. typing up this doc, but nobody knows I did that. You could mention those things because those are unseen but important. But it'll serve two purposes: record keeping, but also helping to build community, because we can say, I saw you, I appreciate you. And those things are things I would love to experiment with.
Yeah,
So
that's wonderful. I had not really.
How do you
that's a
record
great-
keep that? Like, how do we keep records of that? How do we, you know, because it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that in the accounting when people get divvied up gimbals, or?
I think we can create a space for that where people can go to, and maybe a separate project board on or a place where they can create this.
I definitely have a vision, Andre. I definitely have a vision of it. Do you have a vision of it? Like, talk more about it.
Yes. Well, what happens if you did something and someone says thank you, then if they know about this place, they can just go there and said this person did this. So it must be very simple. Just go to this place, create this card, done.
It does complicate it though, doesn't it? Because we could end this meeting and, you know, with our recognition of all the good work that we've each done and the contributions, and then we have to go and record it somewhere. That's the piece that's hard for me, because it feels like, I don't know if it cheapens this or it changes the value of that heartfelt intention. I am such a renegade when it comes to this stuff, though. It's like I'm really rebelling against it. I can feel it in my bones. You know, the record.
The goal is not KPIs or metrics. I think the goal is higher than that. And in the end, I don't think the metrics matter, because every day is different. Every week is different. KPIs measure some goal that we've set in the past. And we're co-creating as we move forward. And it's really about recognizing each other and just making sure that we're being incentivized and can live and take care of stuff. But also 99% of what we do here has to come from that intrinsic motivation. We're here for a purpose. But as long as we can make sure we take care of each other, I don't think we need detailed record keeping to do that.
What if we made it part of our meetups? You know, just a community recognition of what we see people doing. Yeah, I think that would be really nice, because, you know, our agendas, Nori, you started that, you know, taking that 5 minutes to recognize people, and whether it's in the meetup or something that's happened during the week, because we do it weekly, and it'd be a beautiful little record keeping. It's on recording. Somebody could take it that likes to put those things into yeah, it would just be a chance to, and then maybe it builds into something more. Maybe
Yeah.
it builds into a breakout room, right?
Yeah, the recognition breakout room for sure.
Yeah, just, and then people maybe need to know they're contributing, or they need to tell somebody they're doing something, or check in. I'd like that, you know, recognition breakout room.
I love the idea, because people could hop in really quickly and say, I would like to recognize these people, but I
It's
need
on
to.
recording.
It's recorded, and then you can just hop in, hop out.
Did we
Perfect.
just make
C4C.
something up? Did we just build
RBR,
something?
it's an RBR, recognition breakout room.
And then C4C Africa and C4C Asia can do the same thing. And then we could put them all on some Miro board or something where people can
Beautiful.
watch and listen.
Wow, I like that, because then it's spontaneous. Some people will want to write it,
Yeah.
you know, and it could be in the chats as well.
Mhm.
You know, so saving the chats are important, but yeah, making
love
it a
you
bit
guys.
more spontaneous would be awesome.
I think
Wow.
I just want to recognize right off the bat that is a wonderful idea, and
Mhm.
I feel like we've gotten entrained, because these ideas are just exactly aligned. Like the little fish is happening, because like this is an obvious sort of leap, obvious jump. I just think that's and this is a community collaborative standard that I think, you know, we just witnessed, you know, come into being.
Well, it's interesting, because I'm having this like, oh, it doesn't feel right thing, and then you
And I love
say
that.
it, and then it becomes something else. If I just sat back and you guys decided, you know, that we have to record keep, I'm out of it. I'm gone. I'm history in this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not taking
Yeah.
part in it. But because as a team, we just looked at this a little bit longer and thought about a few more things, and then it's like, wow, I love that about collaboration.
Well, okay, I can ante up with that. Your resistance, your friction, like I mean, because if it was just me and you know, if it was just, I don't know, me and somebody else, and we may have come up with a big spreadsheet
You'd
and a
have no
so and so.
friction whatsoever.
Yeah.
You just have smooth sailing without Melanie on board.
No.
It's one of the things I do. I just, yeah,
We appreciate,
which is good.
I guess that's what I'm trying to do is appreciate that and put it in
Mhm.
context so that you feel comfortable doing that again.
I
And-
will. I have to. I'm too old to not
Yeah.
recognize that something's not working, because I know I can say I will be fine with it, and I
Yeah.
will go and I won't do it. So
I
I
think-
may as well be honest up front.
I think I saw the same thing happen with the synchronized and asynchronous, because I think you were really against asynchronous.
Absolutely.
You're just like, I can't
Absolutely.
see it.
And I
people.
apologize profusely, hopefully again, to Nori for being such a biatch.
Well, no,
But
but
it's my resistance to change, and I'll have different levels of it. If I'm tired, don't ask me to do anything new. If
Yeah.
I'm energized, I can take on
yeah.
any platform you throw at me.
Well, we
maybe
love
not
you.
GitHub, but
Yeah, you draw the line and get up. Don't
Well,
worry,
I'm working
Andre.
on it.
Look,
I'm
Andre's
working on
showing
it.
up. Look, Andre.
I have done a little bit on it. It's just maybe in the winter time. So, but sorry, it shouldn't be all about me, but it definitely, I have a stubborn streak in me, and
Yeah.
it needs to be resolved. So,
Well,
I'm
love
going to
your
be
stubbornness.
jumping into group workout proposal thing.
I have a call as well.
Yeah.
Just
So
realized.
yeah, let's wind down. Just I express my appreciation and recognition in these, and I would tip you guys all the gimbals that I earned yesterday. Yeah, I think we got into some really good deep
mhm.
work in this, and I'm looking forward to going back through this recording, and we can share it widely. We did come up with some things about the starting in next week, and I feel like we could start with this recognition breakout room next week. And also in the core meeting, we can talk about
The experiment and bounties.
bounty,
and
and then going through D work.
Specifically,
Yeah.
specifically the form and how I would work through and put this in as an action.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is great. We're getting somewhere. Yoram, just to say thank you for your solid leadership and, you know, from your experience with different groups. You know, this must be a unique situation to have to work with me, and I appreciate that you can put up with it. Just don't tell me what to do, because I will not do it, just to be rebellious. So,
You know, first of all, I appreciate saying that. But, you know, Stephen, in December, we had kind of just before Christmas, we had everyone said, why is here, right? And what I liked, Stephen came up from Africa. Stephen, he came up and he said, we are here, a group of rebellions looking to work together and build something new, right? And that's what unites us, I think. I mean, the fact that you're a rebellion, I love it. I mean, I'm so much against the system. I mean, so yeah, and we need to learn how to
rebel
collaborate
together, collaboratively.
Exactly, and as I said, I mean, I'm as I think we all said, and we know, I mean, there's no magic here. It's for the long term. It takes time to build relationship, and there's ups and downs and things. So I think there's a lot of things that unite all of us here, and many others, and that's why we are here. And you know, instead of doing other things. So when we are different, and it's fine. I mean, each one is different. I mean, that's who we are. So,
I appreciate Andre too, you know, the fact that you love record keeping, and it's like, oh, the world is a good place because there are record keepers like Andre and Miro that love accounting, and they can take that burden off of my shoulders. You know, that to me is like absolutely incredible. And Nori to come along and explore all these different platforms and throw them at me when I'm not ready for them. But to recognize it, to be patient with me, and that eventually I'll come around. You know, this is, and the books and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, everybody's got to go. So
I will
thank you very much.
I'm going to turn off the recording. I'm going to turn off the recording.
Awesome.